quiet town of Eldridge, 12-year-old Elias stumbles upon a mysterious journal and star chart that unlock the secrets of a cosmic void. Guided by the ghostly voice of Captain Silas Blackwood, he faces glowing graves, haunted mirrors, and a sinister choir of voices from lost worlds, all while battling a beast that hungers for his mind. As the stars align, Elias must perform a final ritual to seal the gate to the void, or risk letting its horrors consume his world. Will a boy's courage be enough to silence the cosmos's deadly whispers? Chapter 1. The Whispering Tomb Inn. The small town of Eldridge, where fog hung thick over the hills like a gray blanket, lived a boy named Elias. He was 12 years old, with messy brown hair and eyes that always looked curious. The town sat near an old graveyard, full of crooked stones and tall trees that creaked in the wind. People said the place was haunted, but Elias did not believe in ghosts. He thought they were just stories to scare kids. One rainy afternoon, after school let out early because of the storm, Elias decided to explore. His mom worked late at the mill, and his dad had passed away 2 years ago from a bad cough. Elias often felt alone, so he wandered to fill the empty time. He grabbed his coat, slick with rain, and slipped through the back gate toward the graveyard. The path was muddy, and his boots squished with each step. The graveyard was big, with rows of graves from long ago. Some stones had names worn away by time, like forgotten memories. Elias liked to read the words on them, imagining the lives of those buried below. "Here lies Mary Thorne, beloved wife," one said. He wondered what her days were like. As he walked deeper, the rain slowed to a drizzle, and the air grew cold. Birds stopped singing, and the wind whispered through the leaves. That's when he found it, a grave unlike the others. It was bigger, made of black stone that shone even in the dim light. Vines crawled over it like fingers, and strange marks were carved into the surface. Not letters he knew, but swirls and lines that looked like stars connected by threads. The name on it was Captain Silas Blackwood, with dates from the 1800s. Below that, words read, "He heard the echoes of the stars and spoke their tongue." Elias knelt down, brushing away dirt. As his fingers touched the stone, a low hum filled the air. At first, he thought it was thunder far away, but it grew louder, like a voice murmuring from deep inside the ground. "Hello?" Elias said, his heart beating fast. No answer came, but the hum turned into words, faint, like an echo in a cave. "Seek the light beyond the veil." Elias jumped back, falling into the mud. His eyes went wide. Was this a trick? Maybe someone hid a speaker nearby. He looked around, but the graveyard was empty. Only the trees swayed. He leaned close again, ear to the stone. The voice came once more, clearer this time. "The grave speaks, in echoes of worlds unseen." Shivers ran down his spine. This was no joke. The words felt old, like they came from a time before his grandpa's grandpa. Elias stood up, ready to run home, but curiosity held him. What if this was real? What secrets did it hold? He touched the stone again, and images flashed in his mind. Stars swirling in black space, planets with rings of fire, and shadows moving between them like living things. That night, Elias lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Rain tapped on the window like fingers knocking. He could not sleep. The voice echoed in his head, pulling him back. By morning, he knew he had to return. School dragged on, with lessons about math and history that seemed boring now. When the bell rang, he raced to the graveyard, heart pounding. The black stone waited, unchanged. Elias sat beside it, whispering, "Who are you?" The hum started soft, then words formed. "I am Silas Blackwood, sailor of seas and skies. I found the door to the cosmos, but it trapped me here." Elias gasped. Cosmos? Like space? He had read books about stars and planets, dreaming of being an astronaut. But this felt different, scary and exciting. Yes, the vast dark, where gods sleep and horrors wake. I heard their calls on my ship, echoes from graves in the stars. Silas's voice told a tale. Long ago, he captained a boat across oceans. One night, a storm hit, with lightning that split the sky. His ship wrecked on rocks, but he washed up. On an island no map showed. There, in a cave, he found a stone like this grave, glowing with inner light. Touching it, he heard voices from space, teaching him secrets. How stars are born from dust, how black holes swallow light, how life hides on distant worlds, but the knowledge came with a price. Shadows followed him home, whispering madness. He built this grave before he died, trapping his soul to warn others. The echoes speak truth, but they drive men mad, Silas said. Elias listened for hours as the sun dipped low. Silas explained. Compressed facts. The universe is billions of years old, expanding like a balloon. Galaxies spin like wheels, with arms of stars. Black holes bend time, making seconds last forever. Planets orbit suns, some with water and air, maybe life. Comets streak like messengers carrying ice from the edge, but mixed in were dark parts. There are beings, old as time. They watch from the void. Their thoughts echo through graves like this. Elias felt a chill. The graveyard grew dark, shadows long. He asked, "Why me? Why now?" You touched the stone. Your heart is open, like mine was. As night fell, Elias heard more. Silas spoke of cosmic horrors, vast creatures that swim between stars, feeding on light. They send echoes to pull souls in. Beware the call. It promises wonder, but brings doom. Elias's mind raced with new ideas. He pictured the Milky Way, our galaxy, home to billions of stars. The sun is just one, average size. Earth spins around it, tilted, causing seasons. Moon pulls tides. But beyond, in the Oort cloud, icy rocks wait. Asteroids belt between Mars and Jupiter. Silas compressed more knowledge. Light travels fast, 186,000 miles per second. It takes years to reach us from stars. We see the past. Supernovas explode, forging gold and iron in our blood. Atoms in our bodies came from stars, long dead. But the Gothic tone crept in. The grave's voice grew raspy, like wind through bones. I saw a city under the sea, built by things with tentacles. They worship stars that align once a millennium. Elias shivered, imagining ruins in the deep, covered in slime, with eyes glowing in dark. Is it real? He asked. All echoes are real, in some shadow of the world. As fog rolled in, Elias felt eyes watching. Trees seemed to lean closer. A crow cawed from a branch, black as night. He stood, legs shaky. I'll come back tomorrow, he promised. Home felt safe, with warm soup and his mom's smile. But dreams that night were wild, floating in space, stars whispering names, graves opening to swallow him. He woke sweating, the echo in his ears. Next day, he returned. Silas waited. You came, brave boy. Now learn of the veil. The veil, Silas said, is the thin line between our world and the cosmos. Graves like this punch holes, letting echoes through. Ancient people knew. They built pyramids to stars, Stonehenge to track solstices. Mayans mapped Venus. Egyptians worshipped Sirius. Compressed facts flew. Constellations are patterns we see, but stars are at different distances. Orion's belt points to Sirius, brightest star. Polaris guides north. Zodiac signs come from Earth's wobble over 26,000 years. But darkness laced it. Beyond the veil, elder gods stir. Cthulhu sleeps in Aurelia, waiting for stars to write. Elias knew that name from a book he sneaked from the library, Scary Tales by Lovecraft. Is he real? Echoes say yes. His dreams leak into ours, causing nightmares. Elias felt pulled in two ways. Wonder at the stars, fear of what hides there. The gravestone felt warm now, pulsing like a heart. Days blurred. Elias skipped chores, lied to his mom about where he went. Silas taught more. Quantum bits, where particles link across space, like echoes. Relativity, time slows near black holes. Multiverse, other worlds branch from choices. Gothic dread built. I heard their songs, beautiful but deadly. Sirens of the void. One evening, as thunder rumbled, Silas warned. The echoes grow strong. A storm comes from the stars. Meteors will fall, opening doors. Elias looked up. Clouds parted, showing twinkling lights. One streaked, a shooting star, then another. Is that it? Yes. The shower begins. Leonids from Comet Temple Tuttle. But this time, they carry messages. Fear gripped Elias. The voice echoed louder, filling his head. Visions came. Vast spaces, planets cracking, beings with many eyes laughing. He ran home, heart racing. But the echoes followed, whispering in wind, in rain. That night, in bed, he heard them clear. Come back, learn more, or the shadows take you. Elias knew he was hooked. The grave had him. Wonder and horror mixed, pulling him deeper, over. Weeks, he changed. Paler, quieter. Mom worried, but he said it was school. Silas shared secrets of life. DNA spirals like galaxies. Cells divide like stars birth. Evolution from sea slime to man over eons. But cosmic scale crushed. Earth is speck, humans brief sparks. We are echoes, fading fast. Gothic elements deepened. Graveyard felt alive, stones shifting. Whispers from other tombs joining Silas. One full moon night, Elias sneaked out. Moonlight bathed the grave silver. Silas spoke of lunar secrets. Craters from impacts, dark side hidden. Echoes bounced there too, from alien graves. Then, a crack appeared in the stone. Light seeped out, blue and cold. The veil thins. Touch. Elias hesitated, hand trembling. As fingers met light, pain shot through. Visions flooded. Cosmic birth. Big bang exploding from nothing. Space expanding. Galaxies forming like webs. He pulled back, gasping. Knowledge compressed in his mind. Universe 13.8 billion years old, 93 billion light years wide. Dark matter holds it. Dark energy pushes apart. Life needs carbon, water, Goldilocks zone, but horror followed. Voids between galaxies, empty forever. Beings that eat souls, traveling on echoes. Elias stumbled home, mind buzzing. He wrote notes. In a journal, simple words capturing vast ideas. Friends noticed he was odd, talking of stars and graves. You're weird, they said. But he did not care. The pull was strong. Chapter 2. Echoes from the void. Elias could not shake the pull of the graveyard. The morning after the big storm, with clouds still heavy in the sky, he slipped out of his house before breakfast. His mom was still asleep, tired from her late shift. At the mill, the air smelled of wet earth and pine as he trudged through Eldridge's muddy streets, his boots leaving prints that filled with water. The black stone grave of Captain Silas Blackwood waited, its strange carvings glinting like they held secrets inside. He sat on the damp grass, the chill seeping through his jeans. The crack he'd seen in the stone last night was gone, smooth as if it never existed. Elias frowned, touching the surface. It felt warm, almost alive. "Silas?" he whispered, half expecting silence. But the low hum started, soft at first, like a heartbeat under the ground. "The void calls." Silas's voice echoed, clear but distant, like someone speaking through a long tunnel. "It is the empty space between stars, where light dies and secrets live." Elias's heart raced. "The void? You mean outer space?" He'd seen pictures in school books, black expanses with pinpricks of stars, but Silas made it sound different, like a place that could think. "Yes, boy," Silas said. "The vast dark, where no air carries sound, where cold freezes bone to dust." But echoes slipped through, voices of things older than time. Elias leaned closer, the stone's warmth spreading to his fingers. Silas spoke fast, his words packed tight like a book squeezed into a single page. Elias learned about the vacuum of space. No air, no sound, just endless nothing. Planets without air either burned under their stars' heat or froze in eternal winter. Stars died in explosions, leaving behind black holes that sucked in everything, even light. The universe was huge, billions of light years wide, with galaxies spinning like wheels in a clock that never stopped. But then the story turned dark, the way old houses creak at night. In the void, Silas whispered, things lurk, shadows that think. They feed on lost thoughts, pulling minds across the dark. They send echoes to graves like mine, seeking those who listen. Elias shivered, picturing eyes in the black, watching him. Are they alive? He asked. Alive? No. Older than life. They are hunger, waiting in the spaces where stars don't shine. That night, Elias lay in bed, the words stuck in his head like a song he couldn't forget. Rain pattered on the roof, but in the quiet between drops, he heard faint voices. Not Silas, but others. They whispered names he didn't know. Beetlejuice, Rigel, Aldebaran. Star names, he realized, from a library book he'd flipped through once. But these voices sounded sad, like they mourned their own light. He pulled the blanket tight, eyes on the ceiling, afraid to close them. In his dreams, he floated in the void. No ground, no sky, just black all around. Stars twinkled far off, but they didn't feel friendly. Hands reached from the dark, cold, and gray, with fingers too long. He woke with a gasp, heart pounding, sure something stood at the foot of his bed. But the room was empty, only moonlight through the window. The next day, school dragged on. Elias barely heard the teacher talk about fractions or the water cycle. His mind was in the graveyard with Silas's voice. When the bell rang, he ran back, ignoring his friends calling him to play tag. The black stone waited, and Silas spoke at once. You hear them now, don't you? The voice said. The echoes from the void. They know you listened. Elias swallowed hard. The voices last night. That was real? Yes. The void sends them. Thoughts of dead stars, dreams of things that never die. Silas taught more, his words like a flood. Elias learned about gravity waves, ripples in space from black holes crashing together like stones dropped in a pond. Neutrinos, tiny bits that pass through everything, even people, like ghosts. The cosmic microwave background, a faint glow, left from the universe's birth, like an echo of the Big Bang. Each fact made Elias's head spin, filling him with wonder. The universe was so big, so strange, like a puzzle with no edges, but the Gothic dread crept in, curling around the facts, like fog. The void hungers, Silas said. It echoes your fears back, twisting them. It knows your name now, Elias. Elias's stomach nodded. Why me? I'm just a kid. You touched the stone. You opened your heart. The void loves the curious. The graveyard felt heavier now, the air thick. Trees loomed like silent watchers, their branches clawing the sky. A crow landed on a nearby stone, its eyes glinting black. Elias wanted to run, but his feet stayed planted. What do I do? He asked. Listen, but guard your mind. The echoes offer truth, but truth can break you. Over the next days, Elias kept going back. He couldn't stop. Silas shared more, how light bends near black holes, stretching time like taffy. How pulsars spin, sending radio waves like lighthouse beams. How the Milky Way has a black hole at its center, called Sagittarius A, eating anything too close. Each fact was a spark, lighting up Elias's mind. But the dark side grew stronger. One evening, as the sun sank and the graveyard turned purple, Silas spoke of a place called the Great Attractor, a pull in space, dragging galaxies toward it. No one knows what it is, he said, but the echoes say it's alive, a mouth in the void, waiting. Elias's dreams got worse. He saw himself falling into black, stars winking out one by one. Voices called his name, not friendly, but hungry. He woke each time, sweating, checking the corners of his room. One day he found an old book in his dad's attic box, tucked under fishing lures and faded photos. It was about space, with grainy pictures of planets and charts of constellations. Elias read it under his blanket with a flashlight, matching Silas's words. The book said stars were born from gas clouds, collapsing under their own weight, igniting into fire. It talked about redshift, how light stretches as galaxies move away, like a siren dropping in pitch. Everything Silas said was true, but the book didn't mention shadows or voices. At school, Elias's friends noticed he was different. "You're always staring off," said Tommy, his best friend, tossing a ball at recess. "What's wrong with you?" "Nothing," Elias lied, his thoughts on the void. He didn't tell Tommy about the voices or the grave. How could he? They'd think he was crazy. One night, under a clear sky, Elias sneaked to the graveyard with a flashlight. The stars were bright, like holes punched in black paper. Silas's voice came fast. "Look up," he said. "See the Pleiades, the seven sisters. Their light is old, from years ago. You see their past, not there now." Elias found the cluster, a tiny group of stars. He felt small, like a speck under the vast sky. Silas went on. "The void sends echoes through time, not just space. Past, present, future. They mix in the dark." Then the tone shifted, low and grim. "Beware the shadows that ride the echoes. They seek doors, like this grave. They want in." Elias's flashlight shook in his hand. "In? To our world?" "Yes, the void is patient. It waits for the curious, like me, like you." A rustle came from the bushes. Elias spun, light sweeping the graves. Nothing but shadows moved. His heart thudded. "Silas, are they here now?" "Not yet," the voice said. "But the echoes grow louder. The meteor shower comes soon. It will open paths." Elias remembered the shooting stars from last night, streaks of light that felt alive. "The Leonids?" he asked. "Yes, dust from a comet, but also messengers. They carry whispers from the void." Back home, Elias couldn't sleep. He sat by his window, watching the sky. A star fell, quick and bright. Then another. Each one felt like a warning. He wrote in his journal, scribbling what Silas taught. Space is 99.99999% empty, but not dead. Dark energy pushes it apart, faster, every second. Quasars blaze brighter than galaxies, powered by black holes eating stars. But he also wrote the scary parts, shadows that think, voids that hunger, echoes that know his name. His handwriting shook as he added, "I'm scared, but I can't stop." The next day, Elias's mom caught him sneaking out. "Where you going all the time?" she asked, her eyes worried. "Just exploring," he said, avoiding her gaze. "You look pale, Elias. You eating enough?" He nodded, but his mind was elsewhere. The graveyard called, stronger each day. Silas's voice was a hook in his heart, pulling him back. That evening he returned. The stone hummed before he touched it. Silas spoke of cosmic strings, tiny cracks from the universe's birth, thinner than atoms but heavy as stars. They could cut reality itself. "The void uses them," Silas said, "like threads to sew its will." Elias pictured strings slicing through space, letting shadows leak in. The Gothic chill sank deeper. The graveyard felt alive, stones whispering faintly, like they joined Silas's song. A fog rolled in, thick and gray, hiding the town's lights. "Silas, what do they want?" Elias asked, voice small. "To be known, to be free, to eat the light of minds like yours." Elias backed away, flashlight beam shaking. The crow was back, perched on a grave, watching. Its caw sounded like a laugh. He ran home, the echoes chasing him in the wind. In bed, he heard them again, voices from the void, saying his name, mixed with star names. Vega, Arcturus, Sirius. They weren't angry, but they weren't kind. They were hungry. As the chapter closed, Elias lay awake, staring at the dark. The meteor shower was coming, and with it, something bigger. Wonder and fear twisted together like vines on the grave. Silas's words echoed, "The void knows you now. There's no turning back." Chapter 3. The ancient stone secret. Elias's boots crunched on the gravel path as he hurried to the graveyard, the morning air sharp with frost. The black stone grave of Captain Silas Blackwood loomed in his mind, its strange carvings like a puzzle he couldn't solve. The voices from the void still echoed in his ears from last night, whispering star names and his own, pulling him back despite the fear knotting his stomach. He was only 12, but the stone made him feel older, like he carried secrets too big for his small frame. The graveyard was quiet, the fog thin today, letting weak sunlight filter through bare trees. Elias knelt by the grave, tracing the carvings with his fingers. The swirls and lines, like stars linked by threads, seemed to glow faintly, though it might have been a trick of the light. "Silas," he whispered, "what are these marks?" The stone hummed, warm under his touch. Silas's voice came, low and steady like a tide rolling in. "They are maps, boy. Maps of skies long gone, stars that moved and doors that opened to places unseen." Elias frowned, his breath puffing in the cold. "Maps to where?" He pictured treasure maps from adventure books, but this felt different. Bigger, scarier. "To the cosmos," Silas said. "Constellations shift over centuries. These carvings show their old paths, from when I sailed the seas and heard the stars. But they hide more, secrets of the veil, where echoes become doors." Elias's heart beat faster. Silas packed knowledge tight, like coal pressed into diamonds. The voice explained how stars drift in the galaxy, their patterns changing over thousands of years. Orion's belt, bright now, would look different in a million years. Earth wobbles on its axis, a slow spin called precession, shifting the North Star every 26,000 years. Polaris guides sailors today, but long ago it was Vega. Elias soaked it up, his mind buzzing with wonder. The universe was alive, always moving, like a giant clock. But then the Gothic shadow fell, cold as the grave itself. "The carvings hold power," Silas warned. "Some lines mark portals, cracks in the veil. Touch the wrong one, and you wake ancient curses, echoes of souls trapped in the void." Elias yanked his hand back, staring at the carvings. They seemed to pulse now, the swirls tighter, like eyes watching. "Curses?" he asked, voice small. "Yes. Souls caught between worlds, their cries trapped in stones like this. They beg to be free, but freedom brings madness." A chill ran through Elias. He heard faint moans, not from Silas, but from the ground around him. Other graves, older ones with moss-covered stones, seemed to whisper too, their voices blending into a low wail. He stood looking around. The graveyard felt alive, the air heavy like it pressed against his skin. A crow cawed from a twisted tree, its black eyes fixed on him. "Silas, what do I do?" Elias asked, clutching his flashlight, though it was day. "Find the truth, but tread soft. The stone hides more than maps." Elias spent hours tracing the carvings, careful not to press too hard. He sketched them in his journal, a small notebook he now carried everywhere. The lines formed patterns, some like the Big Dipper, others like nothing he knew. One shape looked like a door, its edges sharp, with a dot in the center like a keyhole. His fingers itched to touch it, but Silas's warning stopped him. That night, he dreamed of the carvings glowing, the door shape opening to a black void. Hands reached out, not human, with fingers like smoke. He woke, heart pounding, and checked his journal. The sketches were still there, unchanged, but they felt alive, like they watched him back. The next day, Elias returned, skipping lunch to spend more time with the stone. Silas spoke of cosmic secrets, how galaxies form spirals, held by dark matters. Pull, how supernovas seed space with metals, making planets and even the iron in human blood. "We are star stuff," Silas said, "born from their deaths." Elias loved this part, picturing stars exploding, scattering bits that became earth, trees, him. but the dark edge cut through. The carvings, Silas said, were made by those who knew the star's truth. Ancient ones, Mayans, Egyptians, others lost to time. They built stones to catch echoes to speak with the void. Elias remembered history class, how pyramids lined up with stars, how Stonehenge marked the sun's path. It made sense, but it scared him too. "Did they hear you?" he asked. Some did, others heard worse, things that drove them mad, built cities under seas to hide from the sky. Elias shivered, thinking of sunken ruins, covered in slime, with glowing eyes in the dark. "Like Cthulhu?" he asked, recalling the scary book. "Yes," Silas hissed. His echo lingers, a shadow in the carvings. "Touch the wrong line," and his voice wakes. Elias backed away, heart racing. The stone felt hotter now, the carvings sharper. He noticed something new, a small groove at the base, hidden under dirt. He brushed it away, revealing a slot, like something fit there. "Silas, what's this?" "A keyhole," the voice said. "Below lies my truth written before I died. Find it, but beware." Elias's hands shook. He wanted to dig, to know more, but fear held him. The graveyard was quiet, too quiet, like it waited. He grabbed a stick and poked the ground near the groove. The earth was soft, giving way easily. After minutes of scraping, he hit something hard, a metal box, rusted but whole, about the size of a shoebox. He pulled it out, heart pounding. The box had the same carvings as the stone, swirls and stars, with a lock shaped like the door in his sketch. "Silas, is this yours?" "Yes," the voice said, softer now, almost sad. "My journal, my warnings. Open it and you step closer to the void." Elias hesitated. The sun was low, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers. He tucked the box under his coat and ran home, the weight of it heavy against his chest. In his room, he hid it under his bed, afraid to open it yet. The carvings on the box seemed to glow in the dark, faint but real. That night, dreams came again, stronger. He stood in the graveyard, but the stones were gone. Instead, stars hung low, each one whispering his name. The door carving floated before him, opening to a black sea where shapes moved, too big to understand. Their eyes glowed and their voices sang, beautiful but terrifying, like a lullaby that kills. He woke, gasping, and pulled the box out. Under his flashlight, he studied it. The lock needed no key. It clicked open with a press. Inside was a journal, its pages yellowed, the ink faded but readable. Silas Blackwood's name was scrawled on the first page, with dates from the 1800s. Elias read, his eyes wide. The journal told of Silas's life, a sailor who saw strange lights over the ocean, who found an island with a glowing stone. It spoke to him, teaching cosmic truths, how the universe began in a flash, how black holes warp time, how comets carry life's seeds. But it also warned of shadows, beings that ride echoes, seeking minds to claim. "I built this grave," Silas wrote, "to trap my soul to warn others. The stone is a door, and I am its keeper." Elias's hand shook as he read. The journal compressed vast ideas. The universe's age, 13.8 billion years. Its size, growing faster as dark energy pushed. Stars form in nebulae, clouds of gas lit by new light. Planets need water, heat, a perfect zone to hold life. But the Gothic horror bled through. The void watches, its children wait. The carvings are their map. He closed the journal, heart pounding. The box's carvings seemed to move in the flashlight's beam, like they wanted to speak. Outside, the wind howled, carrying faint whispers. His name, Star, names mixed with moans. The next day, Elias returned to the grave, journal in his backpack. "Silas, I found it," he said, touching the stone. "What now?" "Read it, learn it, but guard your heart," Silas said. "The carvings will test you. They show paths to truth, but also to doom." Elias opened the journal, reading aloud. Silas's voice joined, explaining more. Cosmic strings, threads from the Big Bang, so thin yet heavy they could slice reality. The void uses them, Silas said, to sow its will into our world. The graveyard grew darker, though it was noon. Clouds rolled in, thick and gray. Elias felt eyes again. Not just the crows, but others, hidden in the fog. The carvings glowed brighter, the door shape pulsing. He reached out, then stopped, remembering the curses. "Silas, what happens if I touch it?" he asked. "You open a door," the voice said. "To wonder, to horror. Choose wise, boy." Elias backed away, clutching the journal. The stone hummed louder, the moans from other graves rising. He ran home, the box and journal heavy in his arms. In his room, he hid them again. But the whispers followed, louder now, calling from the void. As the chapter closed, Elias sat by his window, staring at the stars. They weren't just lights anymore. They were eyes, watching, waiting. The journal lay open, its pages whispering truths and terrors. The ancient stone's secret was his now, a weight he couldn't drop. Wonder filled him, but so did dread, as the echoes grew stronger, pulling him deeper into the cosmic dark. Chapter 4. Stars that fall like tears. Elias stood in the graveyard, the night air sharp and cold, his breath puffing like smoke. The meteor shower, the Leonids, was coming, and the sky felt alive with secrets. The black stone grave of Captain Silas Blackwood glowed faintly under the moonlight, its carvings sharper now, as if they sensed the stars above. Elias clutched the journal he'd found under his arm, its pages heavy with Silas's warnings and cosmic truths. The voices from the void had grown louder since he opened the box, whispering his name in the dark, mixing with star names and strange moans. Fear and wonder battled in his chest, but he couldn't stay away. He sat by the grave, the grass damp against his jeans. The sky was clear, stars twinkling like eyes watching him. "Silas," he whispered, touching the stone. The hum came at once, warm and alive, and Silas's voice flowed, steady but urgent. "The stars fall tonight, boy. The Leonids, dust from a comet, burn in the air. They carry light and messages from the void." Elias looked up, heart racing. Messages, like the echoes? He'd seen shooting stars before, quick streaks that kids wished on. But now they felt different, like signals from somewhere far and wrong. "Yes," Silas said. "The comet, Temple Tuttle, sheds its skin every 33 years. Its dust lights our sky, but some grains hold whispers, thoughts of things that wait beyond." Elias's mind buzzed with facts Silas had taught him, packed tight like stars in a galaxy. Meteors were rocks or dust from space, burning as they hit Earth's air. Comets were icy travelers, orbiting the sun, leaving trails of debris. The foe. Leonids came from Temple Tuttle, a comet that looped close every few decades. When Earth passed through its dust, the sky lit up with falling stars. He pictured the comet, a dirty snowball, trailing bits that glowed like fireflies. But the Gothic chill crept in, wrapping the facts in shadow. "The void uses the meteors," Silas said, his voice low, like a warning bell. "They open paths, thin the veil. Things watch, waiting to slip through." Elias shivered, pulling his coat tighter. "What things?" he asked, though he dreaded the answer. "Shadows with minds," Silas said. "Old as the universe, hungry for light. They ride the echoes, seeking doors like this grave." A streak of light cut the sky, a meteor, bright and fast, then gone. Elias gasped, eyes wide. Another followed, then 3 more, like tears falling from the stars. The graveyard felt heavier, the air thick, pressing against his skin. The carvings on the stone pulsed, their swirls glowing blue, faint but real. Elias clutched the journal, its leather cover cold in his hands. "Silas, are they coming now?" he asked, voice shaking. "Not yet," the voice said. "But the shower peaks soon. The veil thins with each falling star. Guard your heart, boy." Elias opened the journal, its pages yellowed and crinkled. Under his flashlight, he read Silas's words. The Leonids brought me visions, cities in the stars, built by things not human. Their spires twist like bones, their lights pulse like hearts. They call, and I answered, but it cost my soul. Elias's stomach nodded. He pictured towers in space, jagged and wrong, with eyes watching from windows that weren't there. Silas spoke again, teaching fast. The universe moves in cycles, he said. Comets orbit, stars spin, galaxies turn. The Leonids return, marking time. But they also mark doors, moments when the void touches our world. Elias learned more. Comets carry water and carbon, maybe seeding life on Earth long ago. Meteors hit the planet, leaving craters like scars. The moon's dark patches were basins from ancient impacts, but Silas wove dread into it. The falling stars sing, he said. Their song is beautiful, but it pulls minds apart. I heard it once, and it broke me. Elias looked up, the sky alive with streaks now, dozens flashing and fading. Each one felt like a voice, whispering just out of reach. He heard his name again, faint, mixed with strange words. Zubanelganubi, Antares, Deneb. Star names, but spoken like a prayer or a curse. The stone's hum grew louder, matching the rhythm of the meteors. Silas, what do I do? He asked, gripping the journal so tight his knuckles whitened. Watch, but don't listen too long, Silas said. The song tempts, promising secrets, but it traps, like I was trapped. Elias's mind raced with compressed knowledge. The universe was 13.8 billion years old, born in a hot flash called the Big Bang. Galaxies formed from gas clouds, stars from gravity's pull. Light from distant stars took years to reach Earth, showing their past, not their present. But the Gothic horror sank deeper. The void's children sing through the meteors, Silas said. They seek the curious, like you, to open doors. A meteor flared brighter than the rest, leaving a trail that lingered, green and eerie. Elias's heart pounded. The carvings on the grave glowed stronger, the door shape he'd sketched pulsing like a heartbeat. He wanted to touch it, to know more. But Silas's warning from the journal echoed. Touch the door, and you invite the void. He stood, legs shaky, and backed away. The graveyard was too quiet. The usual night sounds, crickets, wind, gone. Only the hum of the stone and the faint whispers remained. A crow landed on a nearby grave, its black feathers gleaming under the meteor light. It cawed, sharp and loud, like a warning. Elias ran home, the journal heavy in his backpack. His mom was at work, the house dark and empty. In his room, he locked the door and opened the journal again. Silas's writing grew wilder on later pages. The meteors showed me a sea of stars where shadows swim. They have no form, but they think. They want our world, our light. I built this grave to stop them, but I fear I failed. Elias's dreams that night were vivid, terrifying. He stood in a black ocean, stars falling like rain, each one screaming his name. Shapes moved in the dark, too big, too wrong, with eyes like dying suns. Their voices sang, sweet and horrible, pulling him toward a glowing door. He woke, sweating, the journal open on his chest, its pages flipped to a drawing of the door carving. The next day, school was a blur. Elias barely spoke, his mind on the meteors and the grave. His friend Tommy nudged him at lunch. "You okay, Elias? You look like you saw a ghost." "I'm fine," Elias lied, poking at his sandwich. He couldn't tell Tommy about the voices or the journal. It was too big, too strange. That evening, he returned to the graveyard, the meteor shower still streaking the sky. Silas's voice was waiting. "You feel it, don't you?" he said. "The pull of the stars, the weight of the void." Elias nodded, sitting by the stone. "Why do they want me?" he asked. "Because you listen," Silas said. "The curious are their prey, like I was." Silas taught more, his words quick and dense. Elias learned about orbital paths, how comets follow long loops, some taking centuries. The Leonids peaked every November, but this year felt different, stronger. Silas spoke of cosmic dust, tiny grains that carried chemicals from the universe's edge. Life may have come from them, he said, but so did the shadows. The Gothic dread grew heavier. The meteors open cracks, Silas said, not just in the sky, but in minds. They sing, and those who hear too long lose themselves. Elias saw another meteor, brighter, slower, its tail sparking red. The stone's carvings glowed in sync, the door shape almost alive. He reached out, then stopped, heart thumping. Silas, is the door opening now? Soon, the voice said. The shower's peak is tomorrow. The veil will be thinnest then. Stay away or guard your soul. Elias wanted to obey, but the pull was strong. He read more of the journal at home, under his blanket with a flashlight. Silas wrote of a night when meteors fell like fire, showing him visions of a city in space, its towers alive, pulsing with light. I heard their song, he wrote, and I answered. Now I am bound to this grave, my soul a warning. Elias's dreams worsened. He saw the city Silas described, its spires twisting, its lights calling. Voices sang his name, promising secrets, how to see stars born, how to walk between worlds. But their song turned sharp, cutting his mind, and he woke screaming, his mom rushing in. Elias, what's wrong? She asked, her face pale. Just a bad dream, he said, hiding the journal. He couldn't tell her. She wouldn't understand. The next night, the meteor showers peak. Elias sneaked out. The sky was alive, hundreds of streaks lighting the dark. The graveyard glowed under their light, the black stone humming louder than ever. Silas's voice was urgent. The veil thins now. The door waits. Do not touch it. Elias stared at the door carving, its lines blazing blue. His hand moved, drawn like a magnet. The meteors sang, their voices clear in his head. Beautiful, terrible, promising everything. He touched the carving, and light exploded, pain shooting through him. Visions flooded, stars bursting, galaxies spinning, a vast eye opening in the void, seeing him. He pulled back, gasping, the journal falling to the ground. The meteors slowed, the stone's glow fading. Silas's voice was faint. You touched it, boy. The void knows you now. There's no hiding. Elias grabbed the journal and ran, the crow's caw chasing him. At home, he hid under his covers, the voices louder, singing of stars and doom. The falling stars had opened something, and he felt it watching, waiting. Wonder and terror mixed, pulling him deeper into the cosmic dark. Chapter 5. The dark house on the hill. Elias's heart still raced from the night before, when he'd touched the glowing door carving on Captain Silas Blackwood's grave. The meteor. Shower's peak had lit the sky, and the voices from the void had sung his name, their song both beautiful and terrifying. The journal tucked under his bed felt like a weight pulling him deeper into a mystery he couldn't escape. He was scared, but the wonder of the cosmos, stars, comets, and secrets older than time, kept him tethered to the graveyard. The next morning, gray clouds hung low over Eldridge, casting the town in a dim, heavy light. Elias skipped breakfast, his mom already gone to the mill. His eyes were tired, his dreams haunted by visions of a vast eye in the void, watching him. He grabbed the journal and headed out, but not to the graveyard. Silas's voice had mentioned something new last night just before Elias ran home. The house on the hill holds answers. Seek it, but beware its shadows. Elias knew the house. Everyone in Eldridge did. It sat on Blackwood Hill, a crumbling mansion nobody visited. Kids called it haunted, saying lights flickered in its windows at night, though no one lived there. Old folks whispered it belonged to Captain Blackwood before he died, built with money from his sea voyages. Elias had never gone near it, until now. The hill was steep, the path overgrown with thorns and weeds. The air grew colder as he climbed, the town shrinking below. The house loomed ahead, its black stone walls cracked, ivy crawling like veins. Its windows were dark, some broken, like empty eyes. The roof sagged, and a crooked weather vane spun slowly, though no wind blew. Elias's stomach twisted, but he clutched the journal tighter and stepped forward. The front door was heavy wood, carved with swirls like the graves. Elias hesitated. then pushed. It creaked open, revealing a dusty hall. The air inside smelled of mold and old paper. His sneakers echoed on the wooden floor, each step loud in the silence. Cobwebs hung like curtains, and portraits lined the walls. Stern faces with eyes that seemed to follow him. One painting showed a man in a captain's coat, his face grim, holding a telescope. "Silas," Elias whispered, recognizing the name scrawled below. "Welcome, boy." Silas's voice came, not from the grave but from the house itself, echoing in the walls. "This was my home, my prison. The answers you seek are here, but so are dangers." Elias's heart pounded. "What am I looking for?" he asked, his voice small in the vast hall. "The truth of the void," Silas said. "My study upstairs. Find my star charts, my notes." They mapped the doors the meteors opened. Elias climbed the creaking stairs, the journal heavy in his hands. The house felt alive, its shadows moving just out of sight. He heard whispers, not Silas's, but others, like the voices from the void, murmuring star names, Regulus, Procyon, Altair. They sounded closer now, as if the house was a bridge to the cosmos. The study was at the end of a long hall, its door ajar. Inside, shelves sagged with books, their spines cracked and faded. A desk sat by a broken window, papers scattered across it. A brass telescope stood in the corner, pointed at the sky. Elias set the journal down and rifled through the papers. They were covered in Silas's handwriting, star charts, sketches of constellations, and notes about the void. One page read, "The meteors open paths. The house catches their echoes, amplifying them. I built it on a ley line where the veil is thin." Elias's mind buzzed with compressed knowledge. Silas's voice explained, "Ley lines were invisible paths of energy, crisscrossing Earth, used by ancient people to build sacred sites. Stonehenge, pyramids, and this house sat on them, places where the universe's secrets leaked through. Stars weren't just lights, they were beacons, their positions guiding ships and souls. The zodiac, 12 signs, marked Earth's orbit through the year, tied to myths older than history. But the Gothic dread sank in, heavy as the house's shadows. The house listens, Silas said. It hears the void's song. The meteors woke it last night. Be quick, or it claims you." Elias found a chart showing the Leonid's path, with lines connecting stars to the house's location. Notes in the margins warned, "The shadows ride the falling stars. They seek the curious, those who know too much." Another page had a sketch of the door carving from the grave, labeled "The Veil's Key." Elias's fingers shook as he traced it, matching it to his own sketch in the journal. A noise came, a low groan, like the house settling. But it wasn't settling. The walls seemed to pulse, the air growing thick. Elias heard his name, not from Silas, but from the shadows, their voices cold and hungry. He grabbed the chart and stuffed it into his backpack, heart racing. The telescope rattled, its lens glinting as if it saw something outside. Elias ran to the window. The sky was dark, though it was midday. Stars were visible, faint but there, and a single meteor streaked across, its tail green and lingering. The house groaned again, louder, and the floor shook. "Silas, what's happening?" he shouted. "The veil thins here too." Silas's voice echoed, fainter now. "The house is a door, like the grave. The meteors stir it. Leave, boy, before they see you." Elias bolted for the stairs, but the hall seemed longer now, the portrait's eyes brighter. The whispers grew, chanting star names and his own, mixed with words he didn't know. Eldritch, Yog-Sothoth, Nyarlathotep. They felt wrong, like curses from the scary book he'd read. The air turned cold, his breath frosting. Shadows moved in the corners, not cast by anything he could see. He stumbled down the stairs, the front door ahead. But it slammed shut before he reached it, the carvings glowing blue, like the graves. Elias yanked at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. "Silas, help!" he cried. "Focus, boy," Silas said, his voice barely audible. "The journal. Read the warding words." Elias fumbled open the journal, flipping to a page he'd skipped. It was titled, "To Close the Door." Words were scrawled in shaky ink, not English, but something older, like the carvings. "Say them," Silas urged. Loud. Elias read aloud, stumbling over the strange syllables. Astra Claude, Umbras Fuge. The words felt heavy, like stones in his mouth. The house shook harder, the whispers turning to shrieks. The door's carvings flared, then dimmed, and the door creaked open. Elias ran outside, not looking back. The journal and chart clutched tight. The hill was quiet, the town below unaware of the house's secrets. Elias collapsed in the grass, gasping. The sky was normal again, clouds hiding the stars. But he felt watched, the void's eyes lingering. He opened the journal, hands still shaking. The warding words had saved him, but Silas's notes warned, the house is alive. It remembers. It wants the door opened. That night, Elias hid in his room, the journal and chart on his bed. His mom knocked, worried. "Elias, you're pale as a ghost." "What's going on?" "Just tired," he lied, his voice hoarse. He couldn't tell her about the house or the voices. She wouldn't believe him. His dreams were worse now. He stood in the house, its walls pulsing like a heart. Stars fell outside, each one screaming, their light shaping into eyes. The door carving appeared, glowing, and opened to a black sea where shapes swam, their tentacles reaching. He woke, heart pounding, the journal open to the door sketch. The next day, Elias avoided the graveyard and the hill. He stayed in town, but the whispers followed, faint in the wind. At school, Tommy nudged him. "You're acting weird, Elias. What's up?" "Nothing," Elias said, staring at his desk. He saw the door carving in his mind, its lines burned into him. That evening, he couldn't resist. He went back to the graveyard, the journal heavy in his backpack. Silas's voice was waiting. "You found the house," he said. "You saw its power. The charts show the truth. The meteors align stars, opening doors." Elias spread the chart on the grass, its lines matching the grave's carvings. "What do they mean?" he asked. "They map the void's paths," Silas said. "Stars move, but some align to form gates. The Leonids trigger them, letting echoes through. The house amplifies it, built to catch the signals." Elias learned more. Stars like Sirius and Vega were beacons, their light carrying messages across space. The Milky Way's spiral arms hid ancient ruins, cities of beings older than Earth. But the dread returned. "The shadows use these gates," Silas said. "They want our world, its light. The house is their anchor." Elias's hands shook. "Can I stop them?" "Read the charts," Silas said. "Learn the stars' paths. But beware, the house knows you now." Elias studied the chart, its lines showing Orion, Taurus, and the Pleiades. Notes marked dates when stars aligned, thinning the veil. The next alignment was soon, a week away. His heart sank. The meteors were only the start. As he left the graveyard, the hill loomed in the distance, the house a black shape against the sky. A meteor streaked, its light cold. The whispers followed him home, louder now, chanting his name. The dark house on the hill held answers, but also terrors, and Elias knew he was caught in its pull, the void's song growing stronger. Chapter 6. Whispers of lost worlds. Elias's hands trembled as he clutched the star chart and journal. The memory of the dark house on Blackwood Hill still sharp in his mind. The walls had pulsed, the shadows had whispered his name, and the warding words from Silas's journal had barely saved him. The meteor shower was fading, but its echoes lingered, pulling him deeper into a cosmic mystery that felt too big for a 12-year-old boy from Eldridge. The graveyard with its black stone grave was his only refuge now, a place where Captain Silas Blackwood's voice could guide him, even if it scared him. The evening was cold, the sky bruised purple as Elias slipped out of his house. His mom was at the mill, and the empty streets of Eldridge felt watchful, as if the town itself knew his secret. He reached the graveyard, the black stone grave gleaming under the faint starlight. The carvings, swirls of stars and doors, seemed to shift when he wasn't looking. He sat on the damp grass, the chart spread before him, its lines matching the grave's patterns. "Silas," Elias whispered, touching the stone. The hum came at once, warm and alive, and Silas's voice flowed, heavy with urgency. "You've seen the house, boy. You felt its pull. Now you must know of lost worlds, places the void remembers, whispering through the stars." Elias's heart thudded. Lost worlds? Like planets? He pictured Mars or Jupiter from school books, but Silas's tone hinted at something stranger. Elias's mind buzzed with compressed knowledge. Silas's words packed tight like a map folded small. The Milky Way held billions of stars, some with planets in Goldilocks zones, places not too hot, not too cold, where water could pool and life could grow. Exoplanets, scientists called them, orbiting distant suns. Some might have air, oceans, even cities. But Silas wove a darker tale. "These worlds fell," he said. "Their people built towers to the stars, seeking the void. They found it, and it devoured them." Elias shivered, the journal open on his lap. Its pages held Silas's sketches of alien landscapes, jagged spires under green skies, seas glowing with strange light, ruins carved with the same swirls as the grave. One note read, "I saw them in dreams, sent by the meteors. Worlds lost to the shadows, their voices trapped." In the void, were they real? Elias asked, his voice small in the quiet graveyard. "Real as you," Silas said. "Their echoes linger, calling through the grave. Listen, but beware. They want to be remembered." Elias leaned closer to the stone, and the hum grew louder. Faint whispers joined Silas's voice, not his but others, speaking in tongues he didn't know. They named stars: Arcturus, Fomalhaut, Rigel, and places: Carcosa, Yugoth, Relie. The names felt heavy, like stones sinking in his chest. He saw flashes in his mind, crumbling cities under twin suns, skies torn by black rifts, creatures with too many eyes crawling through dust. The visions faded, leaving him gasping. "Silas, what are they?" he asked, clutching the chart. "Echoes of lost worlds," Silas said. "Their people touched the void, like I did. They built gates, like my house and grave. Now their voices seek new ears, new minds to carry their pain." Elias's dreams that night were wild. He walked a ruined city, its streets paved with glowing stone. Stars hung low, singing in voices that hurt his head. Shadows moved, not human, their shapes twisting like smoke. They whispered his name, begging him to open a door. He woke, heart pounding, the journal open to a sketch of a gate like the one on the grave. The next day, school was a blur. Elias's eyes were heavy, his mind on the lost worlds. Tommy nudged him at recess. "You look sick, Elias. What's wrong?" "Nothing," Elias lied, staring at the ground. He couldn't tell Tommy about the voices or the house. It was too big, too scary. After school, he returned to the graveyard, the chart and journal in his backpack. Silas's voice was waiting. "You saw them, didn't you?" he said. "The lost worlds. Their echoes grow stronger as the stars align." Elias spread the chart, its lines showing Orion, Taurus, and the Pleiades. Silas explained. Stars moved in patterns, their light carrying signals across space. Some, like pulsars, spun fast, sending radio waves like heartbeats. Others, like Betelgeuse, were dying, ready to explode. These patterns marked times when the azure veil thinned, letting echoes through. "The lost worlds speak then," Silas said. "Their ruins hide in the galaxy, their gates tied to ours." Elias learned more. Planets form from dust disks around young stars, taking millions of years. Some have rings like Saturn or moons with ice like Europa. Life needs carbon, water, heat, a delicate balance. But the Gothic horror crept in. "The lost worlds had life," Silas said, "but they sought the void. They built machines to hear the stars, temples to call the shadows. Now their cities are graves, their voices trapped." Elias pictured ruins on distant planets, covered in dust, with machines still humming, waiting. Are they gone? He asked. No, Silas said. Their echoes live, seeking new homes. The meteors brought their voices here, through my grave, my house. You hear them because you touched the door. Elias's stomach knotted. He remembered touching the grave's carving, the pain and visions that followed. Can they come here? He asked. If the door opens, Silas said. The alignment is near, days away. The stars will form a gate, and the house will sing. Elias's hands shook as he traced the chart's lines. Notes in Silas's journal marked the alignment. A rare moment when Sirius, Vega, and the Pleiades lined up, thinning the veil. The meteors had started it, but the stars would finish it. What do I do? He asked. Learn the stars, Silas said. The chart shows their paths. Find the warding words to close the gate. But beware, the lost worlds want to be found. That night, Elias studied the chart under his flashlight. The lines formed a pattern, like a map to a door in the sky. He read the journal, finding more about lost worlds. Planets with seas of liquid metal, skies lit by auroras, cities built in rings around stars, but each ended in ruin, their people consumed by shadows they summoned. Silas wrote, I heard their cries, saw their fall. The void promised knowledge, but took their souls. Elias's dreams grew darker. He stood in a temple on a dead world, its walls carved with swirls like the graves. A gate glowed and voices sang, promising secrets, how to travel stars, how to live forever. But their song turned sharp, cutting his mind, and he woke screaming, his mom rushing in. Elias, what's wrong? She asked, her face pale. Just a nightmare, he said, hiding the journal. He couldn't tell her. She'd think he was crazy. The next day, Elias returned to the graveyard, the chart heavy in his backpack. Silas's voice was softer now, strained. The alignment nears, he said. The lost world's echoes grow loud. They know you, boy. Elias spread the chart, studying the stars' paths. Silas taught more, how light travels 186,000 miles a second, yet takes years to cross space. The light we see from Sirius is 8 years old, a ghost of its past. Pulsars spin, their beams like lighthouses, marking time. But the dread returned. The lost world's gates are tied to these stars, Silas said. Their echoes ride the light, seeking you. Elias felt watched, not just by the crow perched nearby, but by something bigger in the sky. A faint meteor streaked, its light cold. The grave's carvings glowed, the door shape pulsing. He wanted to touch it, to know more, but fear stopped him. Silas, how do I stop them? He asked. The warding words, Silas said. In the journal with the chart. Say them when the stars align or the gate opens. Elias flipped through the journal, finding the page. Astra Claude, Umbris Fuge. He practiced the words, their weight heavy on his tongue. The graveyard grew quiet, the air thick. Shadows moved between the stones, not cast by anything he could see. The crow cawed, its eyes glinting. He ran home, the whispers following, chanting names of lost worlds, Carcosa, Yugoth, Relia. In his room, he hid the chart and journal, but the voices didn't stop. They sang in his dreams, showing him ruins under alien skies, gates glowing with blue light. Shapes moved, their eyes like stars, calling him to open the door. As the chapter closed, Elias sat by his window, the sky dark but alive with stars. The alignment was coming, and with it, the gate. The whispers of lost worlds grew louder, their voices hungry. The journal and chart lay open, their secrets pulling him deeper. Wonder and terror mixed, the void's song a lure he couldn't resist, as the graveyard and house waited for the stars to align. Chapter 7. The beast from beyond Elias's heart pounded as he sat in his room. The journal and star chart spread across his bed. The whispers of lost worlds still echoed in his mind. Their names, Carcosa, Yugoth, Relia. lingering like a bad dream. The graveyard and the dark house on Blackwood Hill felt closer than ever, their secrets pulling him like gravity. The alignment of stars was only days away, and Silas's warnings about the thinning veil made every shadow feel alive. Last night's dreams had shown him glowing gates and alien ruins, but also something new, a shape moving in the dark, too big, too wrong, with eyes that burned like stars. The evening was heavy with clouds, the air thick as Elias sneaked out, his flashlight tucked in his coat. His mom was at the mill, and Eldridge's streets were quiet, the town unaware of the cosmic danger growing closer. The graveyard waited, its black stone grave gleaming under the dim sky. Elias clutched the journal, its pages worn from his constant reading. The chart, with its lines of stars and gates, felt heavier, like it carried the weight of the void. He knelt by the grave, the grass cold and wet. The carvings, swirls of stars in the door shape, pulsed faintly, as if they knew the alignment was near. "Silas," Elias whispered, touching the stone. The hum came, warm and urgent, and Silas's voice flowed, rougher now, like it fought to be heard. "You've heard the lost worlds, boy. Now beware the beast from beyond. It rides the echoes, drawn by the stars' song." Elias's stomach twisted. "Beast? What is it?" He pictured monsters from comic books, but Silas's tone was darker, heavier, like the weight of a black hole. "A shadow from the void," Silas said. "Older than worlds, hungrier than death. It has no name, but I saw it. Eyes like suns, limbs that twist through space. The meteors woke it, and the alignment calls it closer." Elias's mind buzzed with compressed knowledge, Silas's words tight and fast. The universe was vast, 93 billion light-years wide, filled with galaxies, stars and planets. Black holes bent time, stretching seconds into years. Pulsars spun, sending beams like cosmic lighthouses. But the beast was something else. Not matter, not light, but a presence that fed on thought, on life. Silas explained. It moved through the void, slipping between stars, drawn to gates like the grave and the house. The Leonid's dust had stirred it, and the coming alignment, Sirius, Vega, and the Pleiades, would open a path. Elias shivered, the journal open on his lap. Silas's sketches showed a creature. No clear shape, just a mass of shadows with glowing eyes, tentacles curling like smoke. A note read, "I saw it in the sea after the storm. It rose from the waves, its eyes burning. It spoke my name and I ran, but it followed through the stars." Elias's throat tightened. He pictured the beast rising from a black ocean, its gaze locking on him. "Is it here?" Elias asked, his voice barely. A whisper. "Not yet," Silas said, "but the veil thins. The beast feels you as you feel it. You touch the door, and it knows your mind." Elias remembered the pain when he touched the grave's carving, the visions of stars and eyes. The whispers had grown since then, chanting his name with star names, Capella, Deneb, Aldebaran, and now strange words, Azathoth, Shub-Niggurath. They felt wrong, like curses from the scary book he'd read. The graveyard was quiet, too quiet, the air heavy like before a storm. A crow perched on a nearby stone, its eyes glinting, watching. "Silas, how do I stop it?" Elias asked, gripping the journal. "The warding words," Silas said. "In the journal, with the chart. Say them when the stars align. But the beast is clever. It tempts with knowledge, lures with wonder." Elias flipped to the warding words. Astra Claude, Umbras Fouge. He'd used them in the house and they'd worked, but the beast felt bigger, scarier. He studied the chart, its lines showing the alignment's path. Silas taught more. Stars like Sirius sent light that took years to reach Earth, a ghost of their past. The Pleiades, a cluster of young stars, glowed bright, their dust clouds birthing new suns. But the Gothic dread wove through. "The beast rides these lights," Silas said. It hides in the spaces between, waiting for gates to open. Elias's dreams that night were nightmares. He stood in the graveyard, but the stones were gone. The sky was black, stars pulsing like eyes. A shape rose, vast and formless, its tentacles coiling through the dark. Its eyes burned, seeing him, and its voice shook his bones. Elias, open the door. He woke, gasping, the journal open to the beast's sketch. His flashlight showed the page, the creature's eyes seeming to glow. The next day, school dragged. Elias was pale, his eyes sunken. Tommy nudged him at lunch. You look like you're dying, man. What's going on? Nothing, Elias lied, picking at his food. He saw the beast's eyes in his mind, felt its voice in his chest. He couldn't tell Tommy, it was too big. After school, Elias went back to the graveyard, the chart and journal heavy in his backpack. Silas's voice was faint, strained. The beast draws near, he said. The alignment is tomorrow. The gate will open unless you close it. Elias spread the chart, its lines glowing under his flashlight. Silas explained. The alignment formed a triangle in the sky, a cosmic door tied to the graven house. The beast used these moments, when stars lined up, to slip through. It wants your world, Silas said, your light, your thoughts. It feeds on wonder. Elias learned more. The universe's dark energy pushed galaxies apart, but the beast moved through it, untouched. Quasars, bright cores of ancient galaxies, were its beacons, their light calling it across space. But the horror grew. I saw it, Silas said, on my ship, after the storm. It rose from the sea, its eyes like suns. It spoke, and my crew went mad. Elias pictured a ship tossed by waves, a monster rising, its tentacles blotting the stars. Did it get you? He asked. It bound me, Silas said. My soul to this grave to warn others. But you, boy, you're free, and it wants you. Elias's hands shook as he read the journal. Silas wrote, The beast is not one, but many, a shadow of the void's will. It promises knowledge, how to see stars born, how to walk worlds, but it lies. Its touch is madness. A sketch showed a gate like the grave's carving, with the beast behind it, eyes glowing. That evening, Elias went to Blackwood Hill, drawn despite his fear. The house loomed, its windows dark, but a faint blue glow pulsed inside. He didn't enter, just stood, outside, watching. The weather vane spun, though the air was still. Whispers came, not Silas's, but the beast's, low and sweet. Elias, come, see the stars. He ran, heart pounding, the journal heavy in his arms. At home he hid in his room, the chart spread out. The alignment's date was circled. Tomorrow, night. He practiced the warding words, their syllables sharp on his tongue. But the whispers followed, louder, chanting his name with star names and strange words. He felt the beast's eyes, even in his room. His mom knocked, worried. Elias, you're scaring me. What's wrong? Just tired, he said, hiding the journal. He couldn't tell her. She'd lock him up, thinking he was crazy. That night his dreams were worse. He stood on a dead world, its sky torn by a gate. The beast emerged, its form shifting, tentacles, eyes, claws, its voice a song that burned his mind. Open the door, it said, and he felt his hand move, drawn to the gate. He woke, screaming, his mom shaking him. Elias, talk to me, she said, her eyes wide. Bad dream, he gasped, clutching the journal. He couldn't tell her about the beast. The next day, Elias stayed home, faking sick. He studied the chart, memorizing the stars' paths. The alignment would peak at midnight, when Sirius, Vega, and the Pleiades formed a triangle. The graven house were keys, built on ley lines to catch the void signals. He read the journal, finding a new note. The beast cannot be fought, only barred. Use the words, or it walks free. As night fell, Elias sneaked to the graveyard, the sky clear and alive with stars. The grave glowed, its carvings blazing. Silas's voice was weak. The hour comes, he said. Say the words, or the beast crosses. Elias stood, chart in, one hand, journal in the other, the stars aligned, their light sharp. The grave hummed, the door carving pulsing. Whispers filled the air, not just Silas's, but the beast's, sweet and terrible. Elias, open the door, see the cosmos. He raised the journal, voice shaking, and read, Astra Claude, Umbras Fouge. The words burned his throat, the carvings flared, and the whispers screamed. The stars flickered, the gate's glow fading. Silas's voice sighed, faint. You did it, boy. For now. Elias collapsed, the chart falling. The crow cawed, flying into the dark. The beast was gone, but he felt its eyes still watching, waiting. The alignment was stopped, but the void's pull remained, its whispers softer, but not silent. Chapter 8. Madness in the mirror. Elias's breath was still ragged from the night before, when he'd spoken the warding words to bar the beast from beyond. The stars had aligned, the grave's carvings had blazed, and the whispers of the void had screamed as the gate's glow faded. But the beast's eyes, burning like dying suns, lingered in his mind, watching from somewhere deep in the cosmos. The journal and star chart, now constant companions, felt heavier, as if they carried the weight of the universe's secrets. The graveyard and the dark house on Blackwood Hill were no longer just places. They were doors, and Elias was caught in their pull. The morning was gray, a cold mist blanketing Eldridge as Elias slipped out of his house. His mom was at the mill, and he'd barely slept, his dreams haunted by the beast's voice, sweet and terrible, urging him to open the door. He clutched the journal, its pages worn, and headed to the graveyard. The black stone grave of Captain Silas Blackwood waited, its carvings, swirls of stars, and the door shape, faintly glowing, even in daylight. Elias's heart raced. The alignment was over, but the void's whispers hadn't stopped. They were softer now, but sharper, like a knife's edge. He sat on the damp grass, the chart spread beside him. Silas, he whispered, touching the stone. The hum came, weaker than before, as if Silas's voice struggled against some unseen force. You held the gate, boy, Silas said, his tone grim, but the void never rests. Now you face madness in the mirror, the reflection of your mind, twisted by the echoes. Elias frowned, his fingers tracing the door carving. Mirror? What do you mean? He pictured his bathroom mirror, fogged after a shower, but Silas's words felt darker, heavier, like a warning carved in stone. The void reflects your thoughts, Silas said. It shows you wonders, stars, worlds, truths, but twists them into fears. It lives in mirrors, in glass, in anything that shows your face. Look too long, and you see it, not you. Elias's stomach nodded. He remembered the house on the hill, its portraits with eyes that followed him. Had they been mirrors, showing something not human? His mind buzzed with Silas's compressed knowledge. The universe was 13.8 billion years old, born in a flash of light. Stars formed from gas. Clouds, their light taking years to reach Earth. Black holes warped space, bending light like a lens. But the Gothic horror crept in, cold as the mist. The beast left its mark, Silas said. It touched your mind when you opened the gate. Now it watches through mirrors. Elias shivered, picturing his reflection with glowing eyes, like the beast's. Is it inside me? He asked, voice trembling. Not yet, Silas said. But it tries. It uses mirrors to creep closer, to twist your thoughts. You must face it, or it claims you. Elias opened the journal, its pages crinkled. A new sketch caught his eye, a mirror framed in carved wood, the glass clouded, with eyes staring out. Silas's note read, The mirror in the house shows the void. I looked, and it spoke my name. It showed me stars, then madness. Elias's throat tightened. He hadn't seen a mirror in the house, but the memory of its pulsing walls made him dread going back. That day, Elias avoided mirrors. At school, he kept his eyes down, avoiding the bathroom's glass. Tommy noticed, nudging him at lunch. Why you acting so weird, Elias? You scared of your own face? Just tired, Elias lied, his sandwich untouched. He saw the beast's eyes in his mind, felt its voice in his chest. He couldn't tell Tommy about the void or the mirrors. It was too big, too scary. After school, Elias went to the graveyard, the journal heavy in his backpack. Silas's voice was waiting, fainter now. The mirror waits in the house, he said. It holds answers, but also danger. Find it, but don't look too long. Elias's heart sank. He didn't want to go back to Blackwood Hill, but the pull was strong, like gravity. He climbed the hill as dusk fell, the house looming, its black stone walls gleaming in the fading light. The weather vane spun, though no wind blew. The front door creaked open, as if it expected him. Inside, the air was cold, smelling of dust and decay. The portraits watched, their eyes sharper now, like they knew his fear. Silas's voice echoed in the walls. The mirror is in the attic. It shows the void's truth, but it lies too. Be quick, boy. Elias climbed the stairs, each step creaking louder than the last. The house felt alive, its shadows shifting, whispering his name with star names, Vega, Sirius, Arcturus, and strange words, Cthulhu, Nyarlathotep. The attic door was heavy, its wood carved with the same swirls as the grave. He pushed it open, revealing a dark room lit by a single window. Dust floated in the air, and in the corner stood a tall mirror, its frame carved with stars and doors, its glass cloudy but glinting. Elias approached, his flashlight shaking. The mirror's surface rippled like water. "Silas, is this it?" he asked, voice small. "Yes," Silas said, his voice faint in the attic's walls. "Look, but guard your mind. The void shows wonders, then traps you." Elias peered into the mirror. At first he saw his face, pale, tired, scared. Then the glass shifted, showing stars, galaxies spinning, planets with rings of fire. He gasped, drawn in. The images changed. A city under a green sky, its towers alive, pulsing. Voices sang, sweet and terrible, promising secrets, how to travel stars, how to know all. But then the mirror darkened, and eyes appeared, glowing like the beast's, staring at him. "Elias," they whispered, "open the door." He stumbled. Back, heart pounding. The mirror shook, the house groaning. Shadows moved in the glass, not his, but something else. Tentacles, claws, eyes. He grabbed the journal, flipping to the warding words. "Astra Claude, Umbras Fugi," he shouted them, his voice cracking. The mirror's glow faded, the shadows retreating, but the eyes lingered, watching. Elias ran, the house shaking as he fled down the stairs. The portrait's eyes followed, their whispers louder, chanting his name. The front door was open and he burst outside, collapsing on the hill. The sky was dark, stars bright, but no meteors tonight. The mirror's images burned in his mind. Wonders and horrors mixed together. At home, Elias hid in his room, the journal open. Silas's notes warned, "The mirror is a gate like the grave. It shows the void's face, but look too long and you lose yourself." Elias's reflection in his window seemed wrong, his eyes too bright. He covered it with a blanket, heart racing. His dreams were nightmares. He stood before the mirror, its glass a black sea. The beast emerged, its eyes burning, its voice singing his name. It showed him stars, then a city of bones, its streets filled with shadows that knew him. He woke, gasping, the journal open to the mirror's sketch. The next day, Elias stayed home, faking sick. His mom frowned, touching his forehead. "You're not right, Elias. What's going on?" "Just a cold," he lied, avoiding her eyes. He couldn't tell her about the mirror or the beast. She'd think he was losing it. He studied the journal, finding a new note. "The mirror reflects the void's will. It tempts with knowledge, but its price is madness. Use the words, or it claims your soul." Elias practiced the warding words, their syllables heavy. But the whispers followed even in daylight, chanting his name with star names and curses. That evening, Elias returned to the graveyard, the chart in his backpack. Silas's voice was weak. "You saw the mirror," he said. "You felt its pull. The void tests you, boy. It wants your mind." Elias spread the chart, its lines showing the stars' paths. Silas taught more. Light bent in mirrors, like in black holes, warping reality. The universe's dark matter held galaxies together, invisible but heavy. But the horror grew. "The mirror is the beast's eye," Silas said. "It sees you, knows you. It waits for weakness." Elias's hands shook. "Can I destroy it?" he asked. "No," Silas said. "But the warding words can close its gate. Practice them, or the madness takes you." Elias read the words again, their weight grounding him. The graveyard was quiet, but the crow was back, its eyes glinting. It cawed like a laugh. Elias felt the void watching, its whispers softer but sharper, cutting his thoughts. As night fell, he went to the hill, drawn despite his fear. The house loomed, its windows glowing faintly blue. He didn't enter, just watched from the grass. The weather vane spun, the whispers chanting, "Elias, see the stars." He ran home, the journal heavy, the mirror's eyes in his mind. In his room, he avoided every reflective surface, his window, his spoon, even the TV screen. But the whispers followed, singing of stars and madness. The void's pull was stronger. Now the mirror's gate a lure he could barely resist. As the chapter closed, Elias sat by his covered window, the journal open. The stars outside felt alive, watching. The warding words were his only shield, but the beast's eyes lingered, waiting, wonder and terror mixed. The void's song, a trap he couldn't escape, as the graveyard and house called him back. Chapter 9. The cosmic choir. Elias's fingers trembled as he clutched the journal, its pages worn thin from constant handling. The mirror's glowing eyes from the house on Blackwood Hill haunted him, their whispers sharper now, cutting through his thoughts even in daylight. The warding words had closed the gate for now, but the void's pull was stronger, its song of stars, and madness a lure he couldn't shake. The graveyard and the black stone grave of Captain Silas Blackwood were his only anchor, but even they felt like traps, drawing him deeper into a cosmic mystery that threatened to unravel his mind. The evening sky was clear, stars piercing the twilight as Elias slipped out of his house. His mom was at the mill, and Eldridge's streets were silent, the town oblivious to the danger lurking beyond the veil. The journal and star chart weighed heavy in his backpack, their secrets both thrilling and terrifying. The beast from beyond was still out there, its eyes watching, and Silas's warnings about the cosmic choir echoed in his head, a chorus of voices from the void, singing through the stars. Elias reached the graveyard, the black stone grave gleaming under the starlight, its carvings, swirls of constellations in the door shape, pulsed faintly, as if alive with the void's energy. He knelt on the cold grass, his breath fogging in the chilly air. "Silas," he whispered, touching the stone. The hum came, faint and strained, like a signal fading across space. Silas's voice emerged, heavy with dread. "You've seen the mirror, boy. Now you hear the cosmic choir, the voices of the void, united in song, calling you to join them." Elias's heart raced. "Choir? You mean the whispers?" He'd heard them since touching the grave's door carving, names of stars, Vega, Sirius, Arcturus, mixed with strange words like Cthulhu and Yog-Sothoth, their voices both beautiful and horrifying. "Yes," Silas said, his voice a low rumble. "The choir is the void's will, voices of lost worlds, dead stars, and things older than time. They sing through the stars, through gates like this grave. You've heard them, and they know you." Elias's mind buzzed with Silas's compressed knowledge, packed tight like a nebula collapsing into a star. The universe was vast, filled with galaxies spinning like wheels, their stars born from gas clouds, dying in supernovas that scattered metals across space. Light from distant stars took years, centuries, to reach Earth, carrying messages from their past. "The choir," Silas explained, was a signal woven into that light, a chorus of entities that lived in the spaces between, feeding on curiosity and fear. The Leonids had amplified it, and the mirror had focused it, but the choir was always there, waiting. The Gothic horror sank deeper, chilling Elias's bones. "The choir sings to open doors," Silas said. "It tempted me, showed me stars and worlds, then trapped my soul. It wants yours, boy, to join its song." Elias clutched the journal, its pages open to a sketch of a starry sky, with notes in Silas's shaky hand. "The choir sang to me at sea under the meteors. It showed me cities of light, then darkness. I built this grave to silence it, but it never stops." Elias's throat tightened. He pictured Silas on his ship, stars blazing, hearing voices that drove him mad. "Is it the beast?" Elias asked, his voice barely audible. "No," Silas said. "The beast is one voice in the choir, a shadow among many. The choir is the void itself, a chorus of all its hungers. It sings through the grave, the house, the mirror, any gate you've touched." Elias's stomach knotted. He remembered the mirror's visions, spinning galaxies, burning planets, eyes that weren't his. The whispers had grown since then, chanting his name with star names and curses, their song weaving through his dreams. "How do I stop it?" he asked, gripping the journal. "The warding words," Silas said. "They quiet the choir, but only for a time. The journal holds more, a ritual to seal the gate forever. Find it, but beware. The choir will fight you." Elias flipped through the journal, finding a page. Titled "The Ritual of Closing," it listed steps. Speak the warding words under the stars, draw their pattern on the grave, and burn a piece of the chart to bind the gate. Strange symbols followed, like the carvings, with words in a language he didn't know. Steli silentium, chaos vinculum. The words felt heavy, like they carried the void's weight. That night, Elias's dreams were chaos. He stood in a black void, stars swirling like a storm. The choir sang, their voices 1,000 strong, blending star names with his own. Betelgeuse, Rigel, Elias. They showed him wonders, planets with crystal seas, nebulae glowing like fire, cities floating in space. But the song turned sharp, cutting his mind, and the stars became eyes, watching, hungry. He woke, gasping. The journal opened to the ritual page, his flashlight casting shadows that moved. The next day, school was a fog. Elias's eyes were heavy, his face pale. Tommy nudged him at recess. "You're freaking me out, Elias. You look like you haven't slept in weeks." "I'm fine," Elias lied, staring at the ground. The choir's song echoed in his head, drowning out the playground's noise. He couldn't tell Tommy about the void or the voices. It was too much. After school, Elias returned to the graveyard, the journal and chart in his backpack. Silas's voice was waiting, weaker now. "The choir grows louder," he said. "It senses your fear, your wonder. It wants you to sing with it." Elias spread the chart, its lines glowing faintly under his flashlight. Silas taught more. The universe's dark energy pushed galaxies apart, but the choir moved through it, unbound. Pulsars sent signals, like the choir's rhythm, marking moments when the veil thinned. The Pleiades, a cluster of young stars, were a beacon, their light carrying the choir's song. But the horror deepened. "The choir is eternal," Silas said. "It sang to lost worlds to their ruins. It sings to you now through the grave." Elias pictured those worlds. Carcosa, Ugoth, Rulia. Their cities crumbled, their voices trapped in the void. "Can I make it stop?" he asked, voice shaking. "The ritual," Silas said. "Follow it exactly or the choir claims you. The grave is the key, but the house amplifies it. You must face both." Elias's heart sank. The house on Blackwood Hill scared him more than the graveyard, its mirror a gate he couldn't forget. But the ritual needed the grave's carvings, and the house's power lingered in his mind. He studied the journal, memorizing the ritual's steps. The symbols, swirls and stars, matched the grave, and the words felt alive, like they could move the sky. That evening, Elias climbed the hill to the house, drawn despite his fear. The black stone walls gleamed, the weather vane spinning in still air. He didn't enter, just stood outside, watching. The windows glowed faintly blue, and the choir's song came, soft but clear, chanting his name. He clutched the journal, whispering the warding words, Astra Claude, umbras fuge. The glow dimmed, the song fading, but the house felt alive, waiting. At home, Elias hid in his room, avoiding mirrors and windows. The choir's whispers followed, weaving through the wind, singing of stars and doom. His mom knocked, her face worried. Elias, you're not yourself. Please tell me what's wrong. Just tired, he lied, his voice hoarse. He couldn't tell her about the choir or the ritual. She'd think he was crazy. His dreams were worse now. He stood in the graveyard, the grave's carvings blazing. The choir sang, their voices a storm, showing him galaxies, black holes, worlds of light. But the song turned, revealing eyes, thousands, glowing, watching. They called him to join, to open the gate. He woke, screaming. The journal opened to the ritual's symbols. The next day, Elias stayed home, faking sick. He studied the chart, its lines a map to the stars' song. The ritual needed the grave, the chart, and the words, all under the stars. He practiced the symbols, drawing them in his notebook, their swirls matching the grave's carvings. The Sio words, Steli Silentium, Chaos Vinculum, felt heavier each time he said them. As night fell, Elias sneaked to the graveyard, the sky alive with stars. The grave glowed, its carvings pulsing. Silas's voice was barely a whisper. The choir is here, he said. Do the ritual, boy, or they take you. Elias knelt, chart and journal open. He drew the symbols on the grave with a stick. There, lines glowing faintly. He tore a piece of the chart, lit a match, and burned it, the smoke curling upward. The choir's song grew louder, angry, chanting his name with star names and curses. He raised the journal, voice shaking, and spoke. Stelle, silentium, chaos, vinculum. The words burned his throat, the carvings flared, and the choir screamed, a sound like stars exploding. The grave's glow faded, the whispers quieting. Silas's voice sighed, faint. You held them, boy. For now. Elias collapsed, the chart smoldering, the journal heavy in his hands. The crow cawed, flying into the dark. The choir was silent, but he felt its eyes, waiting beyond the stars. Chapter 10. The final gate. Elias's hands shook as he clutched the journal, its pages dog-eared and smudged from nights of frantic reading. The ritual in the graveyard had silenced the cosmic choir, but its echoes lingered, whispering his name in the quiet moments. The black stone grave and the house on Blackwood Hill were no longer just places of mystery. They were anchors to the void, pulling him toward a final reckoning. The beast, the mirror, the choir, all were threads in a cosmic web, and Elias, a 12-year-old boy from Eldridge, was caught at its center. The warding words and the ritual had held the gate, but Silas's last words echoed. The final gate waits, boy. Face it, or the void takes all. The evening was cold, the sky a deep indigo as Elias slipped out of his house, his backpack heavy with the journal and star chart. His mom was at the mill, and Eldridge's streets were hushed, the town unaware of the cosmic danger pulsing beneath its surface. The stars above were sharp, their light like needles, and Elias felt their gaze as if the void itself watched him. The ritual's success had bought him time, but Silas's last words echoed. The final gate waits, boy. Face it, or the void takes all. Elias reached the graveyard, the black stone grave of Captain Silas Blackwood glowing faintly under the starlight. Its carvings, swirls of constellations and the door shape, pulsed with a slow, steady rhythm, like a heartbeat from beyond. He knelt on the damp grass, his breath visible in the chilly air. Silas, he whispered, touching the stone. The hum came, faint and flickering, as if Silas's voice was fading into the void. "You've held the choir," Silas said, his tone heavy with finality. "But the final gate is open. It lies in the house, where the veil is thinnest. Seal it, or the void spills through." Elias's heart thudded. The house? He pictured the dark mansion on Blackwood Hill, its mirror showing eyes that weren't his, its walls pulsing with the choir's song. "What's the final gate?" "The heart of the void's power," Silas said. "A door I built, tied to the stars, the grave, the mirror. It's in the house's cellar, hidden behind the mirror's light. The ritual closed the grave's gate, but the house's gate is stronger. The stars call it open tonight." Elias's mind buzzed with Silas's compressed knowledge, dense as a collapsing star. The universe was a tapestry of cycles, stars born in nebulae, dying in supernovas, their light traveling millions of years to reach Earth. Ley lines, invisible paths of energy, connected sacred sites, amplifying cosmic signals. The house and grave sat on one, a nexus where the veil between worlds thinned, but the Gothic horror sank deeper, chilling his bones. "The final gate is the void's mouth," Silas said. "It sings with the choir, the beast, all its shadows. If it opens fully, they walk free." Elias clutched the journal, its pages open to the ritual page. A new note caught his eye, written in Silas's shaky hand. "The final gate lies below the house, carved in stone like the grave. Speak the words, burn the chart's heart, and seal it with blood. But beware, the void fights hardest at the end." Elias's stomach twisted. Blood? He was just a kid, not a hero from a story. "Blood?" he asked, voice trembling. "Why?" "Blood? Life binds the gate," Silas said. "A drop freely given ties it shut. I failed, and my soul was bound. You must succeed, or the void takes you." Elias's throat tightened. He pictured the house's cellar, dark and cold, with a gate like the grave's, glowing with the void's light. The whispers were louder now, chanting his name with star names, Polaris, Antares, Altair, and strange words, Azathoth, Nyarlathotep. They felt like a summons, pulling him to the hill. That night, Elias's dreams were a storm. He stood in a black void, stars spinning like a whirlpool. The choir sang, their voices 1,000 strong, showing him wonders, galaxies blooming, planets with seas of light, cities of crystal. But the song turned, revealing a gate, its carvings alive, pulsing blue. Eyes opened within, the beasts, the choirs, watching him. "Elias, open the gate," they sang, and he felt his hand move. Drawn to the light, he woke, gasping, the journal open to the ritual symbols, his flashlight casting shadows that twisted. The next day, school was a blur. Elias's face was pale, his eyes sunken. Tommy grabbed his arm at lunch. "Elias, you're scaring me." "You look like a ghost. What's happening?" "Nothing," Elias lied, avoiding Tommy's eyes. The choir's song drowned out the cafeteria's noise, its voices urging him to the house. He couldn't tell Tommy. It was too big, too terrifying. "I'm okay," he lied, his voice hollow. He couldn't tell her about the echoes or the void. She'd never believe him. His dreams grew stranger. He walked a starry void, but it was quiet. No choir, no beast. The grave stood alone, its carvings dull, but a faint hum came. Not Silas's voice, but something older, deeper. It didn't speak, just watched, its presence heavy. He woke, heart racing. The journal opened to a new note he didn't remember seeing. "The void is patient. Live, boy, but never forget." The next day, Elias tried to be normal. He went to school, laughed with Tommy, ate dinner with his mom, but the whispers were there, faint in the background, like static. He avoided mirrors, windows, anything reflective, afraid of seeing the void's eyes. The journal stayed under his bed, but he felt its pull, its secrets a weight he couldn't drop. As days passed, the whispers faded, but never vanished. Elias learned to live with them, like a scar that ached in the cold. He studied the stars through his window, their light beautiful but distant, no longer singing. The graveyard was quiet, the house on the hill just a house, its gates sealed. But the void's mark remained, a faint tug in his chest, a reminder that he'd touched the cosmos and it had touched him back. The chapter closed with Elias sitting by his window, the blanket pulled aside, the stars bright above Eldridge. The journal lay closed, its secrets locked away, but he knew the void was out there, vast and patient, its echoes whispering his name. He was a boy, not a hero, but he'd faced the stars and lived. For now, that was enough. Chapter 12. The Starlit. Elias's days were quieter now, but the void's echoes still whispered in the corners of his mind, faint as distant starlight. The journal, tucked under his bed, no longer felt like a burning weight, yet its presence lingered, a reminder of the gates he'd sealed and the cosmic forces he'd faced. The black stone grave and the house on Blackwood Hill stood silent, their carvings dull, but Elias couldn't shake the sense that the void was watching, patient as the stars. He was 12, a boy from Eldridge, but the universe had marked him, and its secrets clung like shadows. The evening was crisp, the sky a deep velvet scattered with stars as Elias sat by his window, the blanket pulled aside. His mom was at the mill and Eldridge's streets were empty, the town unaware of the cosmic battle he'd fought. The scorched star chart lay on his desk, its lines, Sirius, Vega, the Pleiades, faded but clear, a map to a closed gate. The journal's final note haunted him. The void is patient, live boy, but never forget. The words felt like a warning, not an end, and the faint whispers in his head agreed, chanting his name with star names, Betelgeuse, Aldebaran, Rigel, in a soft, persistent hum. Elias grabbed his jacket and slipped out, the journal and chart in his backpack. He didn't head to the graveyard or the hill. Instead, he wandered to the edge of town, where a grassy field opened to the sky. The stars were bright, their light steady, no longer pulsing with the void's song, but he felt their gaze, a weight that both thrilled and scared him. He spread the chart on the grass, its edges curling, and opened the journal to a blank page. "Silas," he whispered, not expecting an answer but hoping. The air was still, no hum, no voice, just the faint caw of a crow circling above, its eyes glinting in the starlight. His mind buzzed with the knowledge Silas had left, dense as a pulsar's core. The universe was vast, 93 billion light-years wide, its galaxies spinning in a cosmic dance. Stars burned for billions of years, their light carrying stories across space. The Milky Way held 100 billion stars, some with planets in habitable zones, where life might thrive. But the Gothic dread lingered, cold as the night air. The void wasn't just empty space, it was a presence, a consciousness that whispered through ley lines, graves, and mirrors. Elias had sealed the final gate, but the echoes, Silas warned, lived in him, a mark he couldn't erase. He traced the chart's lines, remembering Silas's lessons. Stars like Vega were beacons, their light taking 25 years to reach Earth. Pulsars spun, sending radio waves like heartbeats. Black holes bent time, stretching moments into eternity. But the void's echoes used these signals, weaving their song through the stars. Elias's heart sank as he recalled the choir's voices, the beast's eyes, the mirror's visions, wonders and horrors that had nearly consumed him. The journal's ritual, Stelle Silentium, Chaos Vinculum, had worked, but the new note suggested the void was never truly gone. A faint whisper came, not from the journal, but from the air, blending with the wind. "Elias, you know us." It was soft, almost kind, unlike the choir's hungry song. He froze, scanning the field. The crow landed nearby, its eyes like tiny stars watching. "Silas?" he asked, but the whisper faded, leaving only the rustle of grass. At school the next day, Elias tried to be normal. He laughed with Tommy, answered questions in class, but his eyes kept drifting to the windows, half expecting to see the void's gaze. Tommy nudged him at lunch. You're better, but still weird, Elias. You gonna tell me what's up? Just bad dreams, Elias said, forcing a smile. He couldn't tell Tommy about the echoes or the stars. It was too vast, too strange. But the whispers followed, faint in the background, chanting his name with star names and strange words. Nyarlathotep, Cthulhu, like a song he couldn't unhear. After school, Elias returned to the field, drawn by the star's pull. The sky was clear, the Milky Way a glowing river. He spread the chart, its scorched lines glowing faintly under his flashlight. The journal lay open, its pages filled with Silas's warnings. The void marks the curious. Its echoes live in you, in dreams, in thoughts. Another note read, "Live your life, but watch the stars. They speak and the void listens." Elias's throat tightened. He'd sealed the gate, but had it changed him? He felt different, older, heavier, like he carried a piece of the cosmos. The whispers were softer now, but they were there, woven into the wind, the stars, even his own heartbeat. He pictured the house's cellar, the stone slab's carvings fading as his blood sealed the gate. The void had retreated, but its eyes lingered, waiting. That night, his dreams were vivid but calm. He walked a starry path, not a void, but a road of light. Stars lining it like lanterns. No choir sang, no beast watched, but a hum filled the air. Not Silas's voice, but something older, deeper, like the universe itself. It showed him planets, blue oceans, red deserts, cities of light, but no eyes, no shadows. He woke, the journal open to a blank page, his flashlight casting a steady beam. The next morning, Elias's mom caught him staring out his window, the blanket pulled aside. "Elias, you're worrying me," she said, her voice soft but firm. "You're not eating, not sleeping right. What's going on?" "I'm okay," he lied, avoiding her eyes. He couldn't tell her about the void or the echoes. She'd think he was crazy, and maybe he was. He spent the day in the field studying the chart. The stars' paths were fixed, their light a constant guide, but the void's echoes used them, slipping through cracks in the veil. Silas's notes described it. The stars are doors, their light a key. The void waits for the curious to listen. Elias traced the Pleiades, remembering their role in the alignment. The ritual had stopped them, but the whispers suggested another alignment might come, years or centuries away. As dusk fell, Elias returned to the graveyard, the grave silent but heavy with memory. He touched the stone, its carvings dull, and whispered the warding words, "Astra Claude, Umbras Fuge." Nothing happened, but the whispers softened, like a radio tuned down. The crow was there, perched on a stone, its eyes glinting. It cawed, almost gentle, and flew off, disappearing into the stars. Elias walked to Blackwood Hill, the house dark and still. Its windows were empty, no blue glow, but the air felt charged, like it remembered the gate. He stood outside, the journal, open to Silas's final note. "Live, boy, but never forget. The void is eternal, but so is your will." The words grounded him, a reminder that he'd faced the cosmos and survived. At home, Elias hid the journal and chart, their weight lighter, now like a burden shared. His mom found him by his window, the stars bright above. "Elias, talk to me," she said, her voice breaking. "I can't help if you don't." "I'm okay, Mom," he said, and this time it felt half true. He couldn't tell her about the stars or the void, but he hugged her, feeling her warmth against the cosmic cold. His dreams grew calmer. He walked the starry path again, its light steady, no voices, just the hum of the universe. Stars spun above, not watching, but guiding, their light a map to wonders he might one day seek. He woke, the journal closed, its secrets quiet, but not gone. Days passed, and Elias lived with the echoes, their whispers faint like a distant song. He went to school, played with Tommy, ate dinner with his mom. The stars were just stars now, their light beautiful but silent. The graveyard and house stood quiet, their gates sealed, but Elias knew the void was out there, impatient, its echoes a part of him. The chapter closed with Elias in the field, the stars blazing above Eldridge. The journal lay in his backpack, its secrets a weight he could carry. The void's whispers were soft, a reminder of what he'd faced and survived. He was a boy, not a hero, but he'd walked the starlit path and found his way back. For now, that was enough.